Story time. He was very handsome, and all the ladies that looked at him fell in love. The guy that was walking him was okay. Story time. She only had one plan for this new year. World domination.
All right.
Story time. They were having a lovely time, and then all of a sudden a duck flew above them, and it was beautiful and majestic. Story time. She never even knew her shirt had a hole. Lot of style. Story time. After months of research, she concluded that in 50 years, all men would be extinct. Story time. With this final bag, she had completely disposed of the body.
Pull my cover.
Story time. Suddenly, the two felt the urge to get up and dance.
And then the vine guy joined them.
Woo! Yeah!
Story time. Here she comes, the queen, able to kill men with a single stare.
You better watch out, honey.
Story time. He was a gracious soul, offering food to those in need. His kindness. Story time. One of these men forgot to check their flies. That man was me. These three were fine. Story time. It was common law that a flower be presented to the loveliest lass.
Well, and of course that's me.
Story time. On this blessed day, the two proclaimed their love. Oh, shoot, guys, okay? Story time. She had no clue she was about to run into a bridge that was nowhere near.
What'd you say?
Story time. Of all the works of art in this room, she was the loveliest. Story time. In every group of friends, there's the dumb one.
Really?
Story time. The two were models, and they loved to strut their stuff. Story time. The man knew exactly what to do to embarrass his son. Story time. The lad decided to do the honorable thing and share his treat with mother. Oh, story time. This was the moment the lad would propose to the girl.
No.
Story time. At last, the two came together for a tender kiss. Oh. Story time. The man was about to step on a snake! On a snake! But he missed it. Story time. It was clear that a romance was blossoming between them. No! A romance lasting a lifetime. Story time. It became clear to them that one of them had let out a huge fart. Story time. And that's when they became horribly lost.
Are we lost?
No.
He lied.
Stop it.
Story time. The teacher slaved over the board. She stared at Thomas with a mighty rage. Story time. The store clerk believed he had put the wrong cans on the shelf. But he was right all along. Story time. As he squeezed the melons, he pictured them as the hearts of his enemies. Story time. One of these friends tended to overshare secrets about the other.
She has a crush on Tarzan!
Story time. At long last, they got to retreat to the park to read their dirty novels.
Yeah, it's about earthworms.
Story time. One among them could strike the mightiest of poses. Oh, shoot! Story time. Little did the kid know their hair was being chopped right off.
What?
Don't worry.
Story time. Little did this gumdrop know they would soon grow up to be a mighty princess.
I know.
Story time. The receptionist's dark secret was that the computers were only used for Minesweeper.
How did you know?
Story time. The man's butt scratching was complete.
Dude, what?
It was delightful.
True.
What?
Story time. The woman was alone, but she seemed to be haunted by ghosts of her past.
You're haunting me.
Story time. To test their love, she decided to use her scary face. Oh. Story time. She stared at the gown and thought, yes, this is something my husband would wear. Story time. The girl offered him a flyer, but he refused, but she gravely insisted. Story time. With that girl, he knew he was now ready to beat up that kid Jimmy at school for stealing his milk.
Stupid Jimmy.
Hotel fun. You have now reached the lobby.
The lobby?
I lied. Story time. The man came to the bus stop every day to pick up hot chicks. Story time. He ripped into the bagel ravenously as if tearing into the carcass of a dead gazelle.
Dude.
Story time. Sadly, only one cookie remained in the store.
Sorry, boys. Daddy's getting that cookie.
Mrs. Sanders was afraid of frogs, even though there were no frogs there.
Stupid!
Story time. The girl loved smelling her phone. It filled her with delight. She sniffed once more. Story time. He looked out at the field of beheaded warriors, and in his hands he held the head of the Pumpkin King. He had won. Story time. She then discovered a booger residing in her nose. It would never be removed. Story time. Just like all the other flowers in this garden, she was just as exquisite.
Shut up!
Story time. Little did she know the mysterious figure creeping up behind her. Story time. She heard that a kick would release a free movie. She heard wrong. Story time. No matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the demon, but he would not let his soul be taken today. Story time. She had been waiting her whole life for someone to sweep her off her feet. Story time. The ladies congregate here every day to scope out the hot dudes.
Yeah, we do.
Story time. At last, the kitten had a family to call its own, and it would like to be called Norbert.
No.
What's their name?
Puppet.
Yeah! Story time. Into the bag he snuck looking for treasure.
He's looking for my candy.
Oh, but his plans were foiled. Story time. They enjoyed sleep so much, they often took naps in the street and could not get back up. Story time. At last, the hero arrived to deliver peace and joy to this dark world. I have to pay him. I am so sorry. Story time. She claimed to know all the information, but did not know how to heal my broken heart. Or did she? Story time. In a twist of fate, the gamer has become the game. Ah! It's not me. Story time. They would be the very best, like no one ever was.
And overcoming social anxiety.
Yeah. Oh my. Story time. It's been years, but their quest to spot the booty has remained fruitless.
Found it.
Story time. She waited every day with her arms outstretched for a hug, and she was about to get one. Story time. There they were, and they were beautiful. As soon as they were seen, hearts swelled.
Because I have your food?
Yeah!